It's Wednesday, February 23rd, 2022. We're here on a Wednesday because Monday was a state and federal holiday, being President's Day. We're starting a little late tonight. It's 6:42 p.m. and we're going to call this meeting to order and begin with the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, we have warrants. Warrants in front of us to pay our bills. Jonathan, you have the general fund warrant.
I have the general fund warrant dated February 18th, 2022, in the amount of $57,386.02. Pretty much some basic stuff on here. Health insurance, by the looks of things, is $20,000. The rest of the stuff just stuff we see every general fund warrant. I make a motion that we approve this warrant as stated.
Second.
Any comments or questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Aaron has a couple payroll warrants.
Yes, I do. I have two payroll warrants. They look pretty average. We've got one dated February 11th, 2022 in the amount of $23,833.11. And then our second one is dated February 18th, 2022 in the amount of $21,174.88. I'll make a motion that we approve these payroll warrants as stated.
Second.
Any questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
And then Jessica has our miscellaneous warrants.
All right, I have the infrastructure development warrant for $501,808.84, and most of it goes to DW Construction, and then some to Peterson and Ruggiano and Freeman French Freeman.
Jessica, could you repeat the amount, please?
Oh, yep. $501,808.84.
Thank you.
And then the second one's for the stormwater utility, $5,432.37. And that's going to Aldridge and Elliott. And that's for the Tanglewood stormwater treatment design. And then the last one is the industrial park warrant for $706.63. I make a motion that we approve these three warrants.
Second.
Any questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. Okay, so now we're on to minutes. We have the minutes of Monday, February 7th, 2022 in front of us, our last regular meeting. Did anybody have any questions, comments, or corrections?
Nope.
Would anyone like to move that they be approved?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Perfect. Okay, now we're on to public comment. Is there anyone here tonight that would like to make a comment about something not to be further discussed down the agenda? If you have something that you'd like to give us a comment on, a 3-minute public comment later on about something later on in our meeting, we'll just ask that you hold off until we have that discussion. But if anybody has a general public comment, please raise your hand or otherwise indicate, and give it probably another 5-10 seconds, and then we'll move on. Okay, so agenda item 5 is a potential appointment to the Missisquoi Valley Rail Trail Committee. And we have Randy Chadburn, who's here with us tonight via Zoom, who submitted a letter of interest to join that committee and to represent the town for a term of 1 year ending in April 2023. The seat is currently vacant. So we all had an opportunity to review that letter of interest. Did anybody have any specific questions for Mr. Chadburn, or is there anything you'd like to add, sir?
Just that I'm a resident here in the town. I live on 29 Eastview Drive in the town, like about 3/4 of a mile from the trailhead. And I talked to the previous person who had this role, got a little better explanation from them. I'm retired, I'm part-time high school soccer official, but I'm an avid bike rider, and I walk the trail, and I'm pretty excited to help out. And do this position for the town.
That's great to hear.
Yep.
Appreciate you coming forward.
Thanks.
Would anyone like to make a motion to appoint Mr. Randy Chadburn to represent the town for a term of 1 year ending April 2023 on the Missisquoi Valley Rail Trail Committee?
So moved.
Second.
Any further discussion? All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Well, thank you again, sir, and congratulations. Please do feel free to check in with us whenever you feel appropriate. If there's any big work going on that you need volunteer labor for, and if there's anything else with the committee that you'd like help getting the word out with, or anything that particularly concerns you that you think we should be aware of, feel free to reach out to any of us or the town manager. And we're here to support you too, if there's anything you think we could do to help you.
Okay, will I be on the Zoom meeting list for this meeting, or no? I just have to come in if I need to?
Yeah, you just come in if you need to. This isn't something that you'll have to come to on a regular basis.
Okay.
It's just if you see anything, or if you think we could be helpful to you and your work, we're open communication.
So I think
Beautiful.
at least once a year, we'd love to hear from you about what you're doing and what's been done, what's gonna be done in the next year. Even if it's not super exciting, I mean, because we're not gonna be there, right? You're our eyes and ears, so boards have asked if you just come in once a year. So just contact me or Jen and say, hey, what's on your agenda? When can I come in, and make it convenient for you? And we'll all be thrilled to see you.
Okay, fair enough. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Yep, thank you, Randy.
Yep.
Okay, so agenda item 6, moving right along now, is an engagement letter for our annual audit with A.M. Peisch. So the staff is requesting that we entertain a motion to authorize me to sign it on our behalf, and then the town manager will also sign on behalf
Correct.
of the organization.
Mhm.
So the letter's dated February 4th, 2022. We have a physical copy here. We were given electronic copies. Does anyone have any questions about the audit process or this letter in particular?
Read through it, seems pretty standard.
Perfect. So if
Yeah, I was
anyone,
gonna say, is there any significant difference from previous ones? Pretty much the same,
No, there aren't
different
any.
date? Okay.
Correct, yeah, they do it every year. We've asked them to do it every year. It's not a requirement, but we do that.
so for the sake of anybody that watches this meeting later on or might be in the virtual audience, this is a very standard thing that we do every year. We have a local but external accounting firm come through and do a thorough once over of our books, and the town clerk largely facilitates that. Our town clerk and treasurer, Anna Borden. We've had the same firm as long as I've been around the town, being A.M. Peisch, but again, this is a standard practice for us. So if anyone would make a motion to authorize me to sign it on behalf of the select board. Good.
I'll make
So-
oh, yeah.
Thanks,
Second.
So Jonathan moved, Aaron second. Any questions or comments? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, so I'm gonna do that now. So Carrie, town manager's report. It looks like we're starting off with an update from the Franklin County Sheriff's Office.
Yeah. Sorry, Hunter, I thought you were first, you're second.
That's fine. I've got a baby right now anyway, so
Aw,
New one too.
no one.
Born
he's
yesterday.
adorable.
Congratulations.
Congratulations.
They're saying congratulations to you. She says thank you.
So John Grismore, if you would like to say a few words. I see that you're here. I don't see Roger on the line. Are you there, John? If not,
Well, let's move to Hunter.
we can move to
then.
Hunter because
Yeah.
Hunter's ready.
Perfect.
All right, so we're gonna go up to the town hall update. I'm Hunter Gomez and Nathaniel Jameson are here on behalf of Peterson Consulting. They are our project managers on the new town hall project. Hunter's gonna review some budget things, construction status, and a couple other permit things.
Yes, thank you for the introduction, Carrie. General construction update right now. We actually, the staff did a tour today, as did the select board, to check on the progress. The building is very well along in terms of being weather tight at this point. With the sheetrock and taping is ongoing, and the painting is going to be starting very soon, with interior doors following shortly thereafter. So it's really starting to take a finished look currently. And I and I will continue to be so. They're tenting the exterior to get the brickwork going right now, and the roof is nearly complete as well. So we're really starting to look like something's coming along at this point in time. In terms of the budget, that's also looking very well. As you heard in the warrant, the biggest item was for DEW's contract, which is currently billed out at essentially 50% complete in value. They have some work obviously remaining. They're at 55% billed right now. So that's going well. In terms of our owner side cost, we remain under budget. We have recently continued to buy out the owner's furnished scope of things. The furniture, I believe this was complete last time. We were under budget on the furniture line. We have purchased the kitchen equipment that needs to be in the facility. The back end IT equipment has been secured and is on order, which will allow obviously the network to go live, which is pretty critical piece of infrastructure. The code required signage is sitting in one of those boxes in front of you right now as well. So that is also essential to get our certificate of occupancy and open the building. So nothing on the owner's side should hold anything in that in that regard up in terms of signage. We are working with Main Street Graphics to get some more decorative signs, wayfinding signs in place as well. And those designs are being confirmed currently. One of which would be similar to the sign, the town hall logo sign behind you to go behind the board in the new facility. In terms of the owner contingency log, we are looking good in that regard. We are showing about 140,000 remaining in our contingency line. We do have some outstanding change orders for additional work from DEW that have not landed in that line yet, and we are still tracking the winter conditions, which is obviously highly unpredictable because it's based essentially on weather, which we do not have any control over, and also COVID delays, which are currently stymieing the projects as they are with many projects around the region and world currently, particularly our storefront and exterior doors and the casework. Although DEW has been a terrific partner in working collaboratively to really, as these issues come up that are outside of everyone's control, to find solutions that work for everyone in a real collaborative manner, which is very, very beneficial. And one of the benefits from the construction manager project delivery method. Our contingency log specifically is showing a lot of our equipment, the miscellaneous stuff, tack boards, whiteboards, things of that nature. It also includes the change orders for minor design changes for DEW, the any overages from our original budget lines, such as the kitchen appliances. We had to spend a little bit more. Things are costing more these days than when we put this together originally. Similarly, network switches are very expensive these days. One of function of, as everyone's probably heard, microchip and other IT lags and items. So we're tracking that against contingency for a portion of those costs. There's also some additional permits that we had to file for, and we're also paying for those out of our contingency log currently. The rundown on that, I did want to update everyone on that as well. As a function of a shoreline encroachment concern that was voiced to the town in late January, we did do a rundown of kind of an accounting of our permit scenario. And due to genuine miscommunication, misunderstanding, clerical errors, etc., we did find that we needed to correct or amend or get some additional permitting in place, which constitutes the shoreline permit. As mentioned, we have a minor encroachment on the high water mark of the shoreline. That's currently being worked out with the state of Vermont authority having jurisdiction. The permit check has cleared and that is being processed. Currently, is my understanding. Similarly, construction general permit, which is an erosion control permit, was completed and not received and filled and filed by the state of Vermont. So that's currently also, the fee has been paid and that has been corrected as well. And then as the on a purely clerical scenario, the site has a site plan approval through the development review process, happened last March, and that did not actually get brought to fruition in the form of bringing a Z card to the site. That has been corrected also and posted on site. The appeals period for that has ended. And then finally, as a function of adding a temporary, which will be permanent path between the old DPW lot here that has future plans and the new town hall, there will be a wetland permit that is going to be filed for and received. And the town currently has ongoing discussions with the state of Vermont on that. That is in a temporary holding pattern, as the state does not want to come review the situation until late April. Long story short, on those 4 items, it was identified that there was an issue. The issue is being actively tracked and discussed with the authority having jurisdiction, being the state of Vermont. The federal agency that is involved with the wetlands was consulted, and they do not have any other issue with what's going on. That's a self-reporting status. That's been documented. The town, as a function of this research, did self-identify many of these issues, with the exception of the shoreline topic, and self-reported them to the state, and is making a very good faith effort to get these corrected as quickly as possible. And that is the situation. And at this point in time, there's really no major concern that there's any schedule or great fiscal concern to the project or the town. We are earmarking funds in our contingency line through the project to potentially add plantings or other stormwater mitigation that may come out of that additional review in the spring. But right now, with the snow on the ground, very hard to tell what that may be. So that is the current mitigation effort there. And now I would open it up to questions. That was kind of a lot of information all at once, so feel free.
Anybody have anything they'd like to ask of Hunter?
It's a good update.
No, thank you. As comprehensive as always. Would you like to introduce Natty and bridge that for us?
Surely, yeah. I will actually be leaving this post shortly, and as a function of that, the last 3 weeks, well, a double function. Natty was going to be taking over for me for a small period of time anyhow because of the new child. So he has been coming on board for a few weeks now in the details of the project, and he will be taking this across the finish line for me. He has done extensive work in interior fit ups and relocation projects recently, so really well positioned to get you guys over the finish line and occupying this new space. It's with a heavy heart I bring that up because obviously we've been working together for a long time now on this, and it's great to see where it is, and everyone in the town deserves it, and it's going to last a really long time for everyone. So you're in great hands, and I'm remorseful to be saying that, but that's how life goes sometimes. And this is Natty Jameson, project manager at PCI, and he will be taking care of you. And I guess I'd let Natty speak to anything else with his introduction.
I'll just say, thanks, Hunter, and we'll miss you, but I'm looking forward to working with everyone up in the town of St. Albans.
Thank you very much.
Perfect. Thank you. And thank you, Hunter, and good luck and congratulations on the birth of your son. That's really awesome.
Congratulations, Hunter.
Thank you. Yeah, well, we're all basically neighbors, so I will be at that opening and look forward to seeing it. And it's been a pleasure.
Thank you so much.
Thanks, Hunter.
All right. Have a nice evening, everyone.
Yeah, you
Thank
too.
you. You too.
Bye.
Okay, I think we've got Captain Grismore. Are you with us?
Yeah, can you hear me now?
Yes, we can hear you now.
Wonderful. Good evening, everyone. Sorry about that. I had some audio challenges.
That's okay. We let Hunter go. He was eager.
Well, yes, I'm glad that it worked out that way because we get back to that new baby.
That's right.
That's awesome.
Anyway,
So we don't have anything of significance really to report other than I think the last time I visited with all of you, we discussed the deployment of our crisis response team, and that has since been deployed. There are 5 members on that team right now. And just to kind of refresh everybody's memory on what this team is it is a group of folks that have specified training that can provide a higher, more comprehensive level of crisis response care. So These folks have backgrounds in various different mental health related fields or crisis response or both. And we use them much like we would any other quick reaction force to be able to respond to folks in need. And I know I shared this with Carrie a while back. Everybody's familiar with the animal rescue that took place on Dunsmore Road. And in advance of that, we deployed 2 of our members from the crisis response team to go down there and make sure that they facilitated any needs for Ms. Dunsmore. Obviously, that's, wasn't necessarily like a reaction that people think that this team might only be used for, but very proactive as well. So that when we have the opportunity to be strategic about their deployment, like a case like this, we're going to send them so that they can focus on the needs of, victims or the needs of folks that we're supporting, even though, she might have been looked at as kind of the offender in this case, which really wasn't the case. But there was an opportunity for us to deploy them and use their skills. And we were very, very successful, and it was very, very well received. One of the other things that this team does, specifically with cases like this or any other mental health related component, is to have follow-up visits. So our folks went down a number of times to provide follow-up care, to make sure that, that Ms. Dunsmore was being cared for, that her needs were being met. This was an incredibly traumatic thing for her, as I think a lot of people certainly know her in the community. She's an animal lover, and this wasn't because she was, we were very, very public about this in our press releases and things, but this wasn't a case of purposeful neglect. This wasn't somebody come home and abusing or kicking the dog kind of a thing. This is a woman that just lost the ability to properly care for a number of animals. And so that was something that was very much on our minds, was making sure that she had services that she would need to adjust to this change and deal with all that. So very, very successful deployment. We're super proud of these folks. I've shared a number of these of the people and their backgrounds previously, but yeah, it was just a really good example of the services that they can bring in. And what the real purpose, again, just kind of to refresh everyone's minds on what this, how this kind of came about, was that, we recognized long ago that the need to provide mental health services in the field is a very critical component of the services that the sheriff's office provides, the town and other towns, but specifically the town. And, one solution has been to embed crisis workers with, different agencies. And I believe that, I know that VSP has one. I know that St. Albans City Police has one, and I think they're looking for funding for a second one. Our TAC was similar, but we recognize that, with 1 or 2 people, there's limitations on the number of hours that they can cover in a week. So we wanted to diversify that skill set. We wanted to add more people to the equation and make sure that we had a better ability to cover folks in need. And again, thinking about that we are responsible for the town 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. So we are very proud of this team. We're very proud of the folks. We're really excited about the future of this team is the abilities that they're going to be able to bring to bear for the citizens and visitors and et cetera of the town. So that's really the only major kind of update. Staffing is very good. We just hired what really is the last of our vacancies, and that person will be going to the full-time academy, or the level 3 academy, in March. We've had a lot of challenges with the academy, and I think that the sheriff has shared that previously, and getting folks through and process so that they can get the training they need on the road and that kind of thing. So, but we've worked through that. We've got another really capable young man that we're going to be sending through the academy, and that's going to complete our staffing, knock on wood. So, pending anything major that would happen, we're really good shape at this point in time, but it hasn't been easy, as we all know. Other than that, the sheriff only asked that I just share some information about some trending of calls of service and activities that we have. So I'll just share with you a little bit. Overall calls for service, we break this down in 2 ways. We have what we consider non-self-directed calls of service. So that's basically anytime somebody calls us for help or assistance. The self-directed stuff is really traffic enforcement, the stuff that we would initiate, or directed patrols that we would initiate. So just because it can get very skewed if you add in traffic stops into the data. So overall calls for service are trending slightly downward, which is very common this time of year. You know, we usually see the peak in the latter part of the summer. Things, you know, over year do trend down towards the winter, and they start to pick up a little bit as the weather certainly gets nicer, more people on the roads, more people outside, kind of a thing. So we're in the neighborhood of about 250, 260 calls. Again, these are non-self-directed calls for service, and slightly ticked up a little bit in January. We're down in December, but ticked up again in January. Overall, traffic stops are down, and there are a lot of reasons for that. Again, you know, with the Omicron variant kicking back up, we're being very aggressive with motor vehicle enforcement towards the latter part of the summer. And then as that kicked up, we eased back on that just to make sure that we're not, make sure that we're being conscious about transmission and those kinds of things. So we reduced that down a little bit. And as we're kind of hopefully now, again, knock on wood, we're fading out of that Omicron issue and things are kind of getting back to normal. We certainly would anticipate that as weather changes, the traffic stops will tick back up again. Overall calls for service, mental health calls is still kind of on the increase. And one of those things is that we're getting a lot better at categorizing them. And we've built in some mechanisms to be able to help us understand exactly what those look like better. Because in a lot of these cases, it might be, let's just say, an alcohol offense. Well, although it's tagged as an alcohol offense because that's kind of the originating call for service, there might be a mental health component to that. So we're adding that in so that we can get better at tracking those and identifying folks that might be in need and can customize and tailor our services based on that need. Other than that, there isn't anything that's really significant. We provide a lot of assist to the public. So that's, folks that have gone off the road, or that's folks that need questions answered and things like that. Other than that, there really isn't anything that's out of the ordinary or odd. I don't, Carrie, I know that you looked at the data. Is there anything that you specifically saw that you want me to address?
No, not right now. You've covered most of it.
I just got a couple questions, Captain Grismore. This is Brian. Just back to the crisis response team. I've got 5 people, which is awesome. Just a couple questions, like, what % of the time are they available in St. Albans Town? I assume they're not only dedicated to St. Albans, but just basically, how likely is it if someone needed, if we had a call where that was needed, how likely is it that someone's going to be able to come? Is it just about every time, or unless there was something major going on somewhere else?
So Brian, that's a great question. So we have spread out some of those resources across the various different shifts, and we continue to expand. So the number of 5, I mean, realistically, I'd love to have every member of the office that has this level of training and can provide this service. That's going to take us quite a bit of time. But right now, this is again, I use the analogy of a SWAT team, right? So if there was a tactical solution that was needed, we would call out our members. We would do the same thing for this. So if there was a need, and we've had a couple of cases already where we've activated after hours members of the crisis response team to be able to respond. And we had a barricaded subject from a domestic violence situation. The crisis team was able to talk this person out. So that was after hours. And that was after this person had, kind of gone home for the day, kind of a thing. So that's how this team will be deployed. So yeah, absolutely. If there's ever a need, we have a number of people that would respond and have the ability to respond at any time of night to a need.
Thank you.
So does anyone else have any questions for Captain?
Yeah, I just had a question, Captain. Thinking about mental health and the crisis response, I think we talked about this during the early days of the onboarding of Franklin County Sheriff Department, but I'm just curious, any updates as far as supports to the staff around their own perhaps crisis response or dealing with processing the scenes that they're seeing and engaging with the public. What kind of supports do the staff have as far as mental health and any substance use support that they might have?
Yep, thank you for that. We do. That's a daily thing for us, right? So the leadership is always tuned in to any kind of call of service that might have residual mental health impact on any of our folks. So that's something that we check in, yes, very regularly, very frequently. It's almost like we set up this question because we've got a department meeting next week, and that's one of the topics that we're going to talk about with all of our staff, is to kind of just reinvigorate this opportunity for folks and remind folks of the different resources that are available to them to make sure that they keep themselves in check. But when I say daily things that we do is things like, making sure that we're very cognizant of not letting people overwork themselves, even in times where we're very short-staffed, making sure that we have good opportunities for folks to take time off and get their vacations and all of those kinds of things. We don't do mandatory overtime, so we've never done that, and I hopefully we never will. So things like that too that we're very, very aware of help manage individuals' mental health as well in terms of stress and overload and those kinds of things. But again, when we have critical incidents, we have debriefings. We had a fatal accident in the latter part of last year, and it wasn't one of the more horrific, but those are always very traumatic. So one of the things that we do is we do check-ins. So I happened to be at that scene, so I did check-ins myself with the folks. I had the other supervisors do kind of follow-up check-ins to see how folks are doing, remind them that services are available to them, and if they need time off, they need to talk, just to kind of keep that going, to keep the momentum going, and constantly remind folks that these services are available, that they're important, that their mental health and their well-being is incredibly important. So yeah, thanks for that question.
Yeah, thank you.
Okay. Does anyone have any other questions? Okay, well, thank you very much, Captain Grismore, for coming in. And
Yeah, thanks very much, everyone.
Thank you.
okay. All right.
All right, so the next item under town manager's report is a new policy, but one we've discovered we needed when we looked at what we could, records management policy and retention plan. So it's twofold, obviously, as you've seen in your packet. We need to clean out some things before we move. We'd like to know what legally we need to keep. It came up that while a lot of things in the town clerk's office are driven by statute, the rest of the building is often under the jurisdiction of the select board, and so we need a policy and we need a specific schedule. So if you look on that big chart, it's an Excel spreadsheet. We don't necessarily have to finish it all tonight, but there's things in there that are subjective, not subjective, but you have the latitude to say, hey, should we keep X for 7 years, or is keeping it for 5 years long enough? We have a whole vault worth of stuff downstairs, and we have a lot of records upstairs too. We just as soon not move them, but dispose of them properly if we could.
When you say keep, one thing, as I was looking through it, is it possible to keep everything digitally, or is that too far? I guess
That's a great question.
Want to make sure that we don't we follow all the rules, we do everything we
No, that's a great question.
have to do, and
Because as you
Can I
know,
address that?
excuse me?
May I address that?
Yes.
The records, if they are electronic or paper copies, falls under the same category as to when we delete them. So for instance, I've got budget files from 2002. Anything electronic and or paper, depending on the plan, on the schedule, we can get rid of. So for instance, we keep stuff for 3 years. Anything older than that, we can delete it electronically and paper-wise.
But his question is so electronic is the same, so we could just get rid of, as long as we digitize it, we don't have to keep any of those paper things unless we desire them.
That's correct. That's correct.
but wait, that's part of it, and the other part is if it's digital, is there a reason that we should get rid of it? I mean, it doesn't take up any. It doesn't take up any room,
much, right?
Really, I mean.
No, in fact, I would highly recommend that anything digital we keep, because I go back on research and it's very helpful to keep that stuff.
And that we back up, we back up and we put the backup in the vault. And so if we catastrophically lost our server, we would only lose X amount of data because we back it up and we house it in a fire safe vault.
Perfect, okay.
So
So I
it's
don't know if that screws this up at all or if it changes anything, but this is more about, I mean, is this more just physical copies of things,
It is.
right?
It's both, but once we realized we needed a retention plan, this one was copied from what town, Jen? We did copy.
Marshfield.
Marshfield.
It's also on VSRA, as far as the state of Vermont. They have a retention plan, which I have to follow.
Right, and that's where I got it in the plan. It allows us to get rid of all the extra paper stuff. The plan is actually what the town of Marshfield town clerk follows.
Right.
So we.
As far as administrative, as far as,
Exactly.
yeah. I mean, I think when we start cleaning out that vault downstairs, you're going to find records, payroll records for the school dating back to probably 89, 90, 91, 92, 93, which you can just dispose of those.
Mhm.
Few handwritten checkbooks down there.
I'm sorry?
As I said, I think there's a few handwritten payroll check, probably from the '60s for the school district.
Oh, probably. I mean, the only thing we really have to keep are the, obviously the land records, the history, which I would want to keep.
And keep in mind, that's this is just an administrative plan that we're created to take care of the stuff from upstairs.
Right.
And any of my old stuff that's down in Roar Vault in the basement.
Right.
So as far as like Carrie, you said there are some things where maybe is it 5 years or 7 years? Is that, I didn't see that, is that like highlighted in here, or is that something that, like which ones are those that kind of have discretionary lengths of time, or do they all do just based on the minimums? We just have to meet the minimum, and then is there anything that we'd want to stay safe for later? Is that what the question is, or?
Right, I was under the impression the minimum retention meant that's our floor.
Yep. And so the question for us is whether we'd want to save it for longer
Correct.
than the minimum.
Yep, you want to be.
Yep.
Okay.
I mean, unless you saw something that you felt was egregious, I think following the minimum retention schedule and then putting everything digitally that we possibly can get would be a good policy to follow going forward.
And I think if it's based off of what the stated expectations are from different citations or, using whatever is kind of in statute, makes more sense than adding our own riff on things that's harder to track over time.
I mean,
And the state is always coming up with new schedules. They're working on schedules constantly. For instance, right now, there's no schedule for destroying terminated employees' benefit information but they enrolled in when they were employed with the town of St. Albans. Right now, you have to keep that indefinitely until they come up with a plan.
And that's true because I've had to keep the teachers' records for a lot of years. And if someone retires, like say at 70, I have to go back and look at their work history in the records that I have in town hall for those years. I mean, there's so many different statutes as far as liquor license applications, dog license applications. I mean, you just have to follow their retention schedule and destroy as it leads you.
Okay.
So we're looking to, at this point for you to tell us if there's anything you want removed from here, and if you're willing to follow the recommendation, then if not tonight, then the next time we meet, approving this retention schedule would be very helpful.
There's only two that pop up that I don't already see saying permanent. Just the one that says policies, and then the one below that says procedures enacted by the select board.
Second page?
Yeah, near the top. I guess
Okay.
either I need more information, but 3 years, I feel like policies, I don't know what that means. Like when the policy is no longer a real policy, 3 years, then it's gone, or you create a policy and in 3 years you can get rid of it. I guess I'm trying to see what that means.
Superseded,
Yeah.
means the new one's in place.
Okay.
That's correct.
So you have to keep the old one for 3 years, and then it doesn't matter.
Yeah, I don't know. Something about that makes it seem like you should probably keep it. But maybe that's just me.
I can get clarification on that,
I mean,
just to be sure.
yeah, but I mean, in that case, I think we have it electronically and we keep it. You know,
So-
somebody,
Yes.
There we go. I mean, if
Yeah.
this is just about the physical
Yeah.
aspect of it, sure,
Yeah.
okay.
because
If
we're
it's-
not, like personnel policies, we
Yeah.
revise them every 2 or 3
Yeah.
years. There's no reason to delete the one from 10 years
Well, that's
ago.
what I guess. Okay, so this is just physical.
And I mean, it could
Yes.
mean that somebody
Okay.
could say, look, I want you to delete everything but the current folder, but that doesn't make any sense. It's not costing us much at all, right? So
Mhm.
it's
Yeah, digital. I mean, if it's
correct.
I mean,
Yep.
obviously, we don't want to go and digitize stuff if we don't need to. That's-
No, but we
It's expensive. Yep.
right. We have scanners now, though. It's just it's an
That's
intern,
fine. I
but
just,
yeah.
that makes sense.
we create it
Sorry.
mostly electronic first now, anyway. So.
Yeah. Okay.
It may, I mean, not probably anytime soon, but eventually we'll probably have to decide, you know, as a town, like as far as digital records, you know, it eventually takes up space.
Does,
So either, you know, hopefully storage will be cheaper, and so that won't be an issue, and we can just keep adding on, you know, digital storage space, or, you know, for many reasons, there may be a good reason to purge some of the records based off of retention, just, you
Best
know,
practices.
best practice, yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm. Yep.
Okay. Okay.
Probably not for decades.
Do you want a couple weeks to look at it so that we can bring it back on our next meeting to do regular work is March 7th, actually.
Do we
Or if
Do
you're
we
ready.
think we could put it on the agenda for Monday night, since that agenda hasn't been finalized, and get a draft approved before the new board's seated, given that we had this discussion tonight as this board?
I mean, I'm good with the answers I got. That it's really
Yeah.
just
Mhm.
it's just the physical stuff. It's not. We're not at this point
Right.
getting rid of anything that's digitized, which I assume anything in the last few years is digitized.
It is,
so,
yeah.
Do we
I mean,
wanna?
I'm fine. I'm fine moving forward now, Brendan. If
Yeah. And does the
everyone else
policy,
is.
and I may have missed it, but does the policy say that this is just for the physical pieces? Cause we might wanna clarify that in case there's an issue with removing digital copies later, if the intent is to keep it. Otherwise, I think this would apply for both.
Yeah, we'll clarify that it's for physical copies.
So like in the purpose,
Yeah.
managing and disposing of physical records in accordance?
Yeah, it references in section 6 something like that too.
Mm-hmm.
Documents may be scanned for ease of access, but this is not considered permanent retention.
Right.
So, okay.
We'll just add it to the purpose so it's very clear from the
Mhm.
onset of the document.
Yep, and that the intent is that digital copies will be kept in perpetuity.
Right.
Yeah.
Like Aaron had said, if that ever becomes an issue, we can, you know, apply best practice and amend the policy or create a new one for digital assets.
Mhm.
Okay, so if that's, would that be possible to get that drafted up for the 28th? Is that? I know it's only 2 days, 3 days.
Yeah, we can do that.
Okay, perfect. And then we had, okay, so we'll get back to that one, and then we have draft 1 in front of us of the disposal of assets policy. Gary, you wanna introduce that, or?
Yep. Just gonna write my deadline.
Got it.
Don't wanna forget. That's tomorrow. All right, so the next policy has to do with disposal of assets. You know, we did a pretty comprehensive rewrite of our purchasing policy a couple years ago. Alwaja helped us with that. became apparent in the last year that somehow our disposal of assets portion of that policy got omitted. So, we'd like to provide some guidelines on how we can get rid of
So I just passed out
assets.
an update, so it's draft 1.2 if you want to call it. Chief Cross had a look at the other one and had some edits for us before this meeting, so it didn't make it into your packet. So we made some edits based on his suggestions. Basically, this is a descriptive on how do we get rid of equipment. The only exemptions are if we trade in a vehicle, but we have a process there, or due to an insurance claim if a vehicle or a piece of equipment was totaled for some reason. You know, that's a different scenario when we get rid of it, but something to think about. But the goal is to maximize taxpayer value. Anytime that we get rid of an asset or no longer need it or trade it in as part of a schedule. So we go into scripts. I don't know how in detail you want me to go through this, but I think the main drivers are it lays out sale or transfer of fixed property, land or buildings requires approval of the select board. Sale of disposal or of non-fixed surplus property shall be managed by the town manager after informing the select board of the intent to sell or dispose of the asset. So that might be, we're getting a new fire truck this year, and we're planning on getting rid of it, but they'll keep you informed. Public announcements. So few people read, unfortunately, local papers. We still have the local paper, but we want to make it policy that it's listed on the Facebook page and on our official website and Front Porch Forum at a minimum, for a minimum of 2 weeks or 2 posts. Like on Facebook, we would do 2 posts, but it would stay on our website for 2 weeks.
Right.
We also think each advertisement needs to disclose that the town of St. Albans has the right to refuse any bid or relist in case if we don't get a bid that we feel is appropriate for the piece of equipment. Looking to sell. The one issue that probably could cause some contention is we are no longer going to allow town of St. Albans employees, volunteers, or direct family members to bid on the initial bid request. If no one bids and we go back out to bid, we will allow them at that point. That was a discussion with some of our staff members. They felt, to preclude if no one wanted to buy something, after a couple bid out, and it was clearly we followed a policy that potentially they could, but not in the first round of anything.
What's the reasoning of that?
I mean, that was just the conversation I had with some people upstairs. I'm like, do you think it's fair, to have, we were just discussing it, and they felt the first round it was fair, but if something had, trying to think of a piece of equipment that, might be something, and you guys change it, but we wrote it for that. Basically, if no one is interested in buying it publicly, and we put it out to bid 2 or 3 times, like what's the harm if they're willing to bid on it and buy it at that point?
I think
Right, I guess, but
why are they not allowed?
how come they can't just bid on it from the get-go? Say if there's like 10 people at bid and they don't even get an opportunity to bid on it.
That was something, Chief Cross's guys don't bid on any of their stuff. We've just bid it from the beginning. We felt we wanted to try to avoid any kind of potential conflict of interest.
Well, most people won't be buying a fire truck to drive around on Sunday, but
Right. I mean, it's up to you guys to make the
like,
policy, but that's
somebody wants a lawnmower, or
It's probably a holdover. I mean, if you don't feel that is a problem, we can delete it, but he was pretty adamant, even when they sold tankers or, pickup trucks over there sometimes. It's policy that he suggested, but he doesn't want to die on the hill either. He's fine with it if you guys are good with it.
I guess, but if they're a town resident, they could just have a family member just buy it too, so I'm like.
Direct family members.
So is that what it says?
Yeah, volunteers and direct family members.
I think it's to avoid the appearance of any impropriety. You know what I mean? I think sometimes appearances matter as much as
Well, it
the actual
does, but
thing.
if you've got this nice policy here, I think if if somebody has
If it's
an
followed
issue with it,
properly,
and
then-
you can say, I did X, Y, Z, like the
Yep.
policy states, what do you want me to do?
Yep.
And ultimately, I think, don't we have the right to deny the bid anyways?
Yeah.
Like at the end of the day,
I mean,
so.
to be fair, we're not being vague on to hide anything. I don't think,
You know, we were
No,
just,
I'm just saying, I
just
just,
been suggested.
I
So
just,
probably strike 8.
I mean, maybe from a fire department, I don't know, I just,
So
I don't
section
know.
section 5, 8, I think we can probably strike.
Okay.
As long as the rest of it is followed, I don't think. Is that okay with the board? I don't need to.
Yeah, no, I
Yep.
agree with that.
Okay.
In 6, we do authorize the town manager to donate assets such as obsolete furniture or redundant office equipment and computer equipment to registered charitable organizations within the community. You know, people
Can we
donate.
put a dollar limit on that maybe, unless it's valued over like $2,000. I don't know. If
It's
it's
up
like
to you. I mean, they're like, you know, this move is a good example, but like,
Well,
I
we-
think of like a local business has donated stuff to us. Like, we're getting new flat filing cabinets
Oh, true.
for site plans from a local engineering firm. They're like, we don't want these, and they're nicer than the ones we have from the Air Force that are 60 years old. So we're like, yeah, sure, in Newtown Hall, we'll take them.
No,
So
it's just whether or not,
Yep.
it's public money and we haggle back and forth over giving nonprofits $1,000 here,
Yeah, I think-
$1,000 there. So if we're gonna apply that, consistently, I think that's gotta be here too.
its dollar amount is anything under $2,000.
2,500, maybe, I don't know. I mean, I don't know how you value that. There probably should be some kind of a.
I mean, I think most of what I read it, but again, we gotta be descriptive because someone 15 years from now is gonna be applying
Well, that's
policy.
the problem. Yeah.
You know, I see it as like when these chairs are no longer like, you're gonna go to like Martha's Kitchen, like, hey, do you want chairs? Like, no one's gonna want them. It's things just to get rid of.
Yeah, it's something where it costs
I-
more time and money to
Your
actually
intent
sell
sell
is
it or
right.
keep it as
It's
scrap,
whether
yeah.
or not,
Yeah.
like, there's gotta be guardrails on it, so it can't be interpreted and
No, I totally get it.
wielded in a. So I'm sure you can come up with language for that.
And I think there's language in this as well that, the town manager is authorized that where, there's a change, like there's instances where following the
Exceptions.
policy would
Yep.
be onerous to the actual work, like as long as it's documented, I think, I think the guardrails is a good idea, and then if there's something that comes up in the future.
Could that be, that brings up the one point other than just random typos that I had under waivers. Should we add some kind of select board notification at a publicly warned meeting that, I don't know, it's just, again, sometimes the image matters and creating that check of.
Yeah,
having
so this
that-
is our waiver language from our purchasing policy.
So maybe that
So
should be
it's,
updated too.
I think, if whatever we want a waiver language to be, we need to
Be consistent.
be consistent across the, I think the language should be consistent across the board, so I have no problem changing it, that's where that came from, was
yeah.
our current purchasing policy.
I think we're gonna be going through that pretty soon.
Yep. So you wanna add, notification,
So like that waiver, would that like fit, like say if you wanted to get rid of 10 office chairs where the wheels are falling off, like could you just use that? Would that portion fit?
Well, at some point, I think you've got to define whether or not
Like,
if
is it-
something's entirely
I mean,
differentiated.
It might, but I'm thinking.
I think like a example could be, I'm gonna use this as an example, not saying it'll happen, Front Porch Forum all of a sudden goes out of business, and so like,
Yeah, I was thinking
you know what
the
I mean,
same
like there are
thing.
things like, or Facebook maybe isn't as popular as it is today, and we haven't quite updated that,
Yeah,
like
you're
I
right.
I
A
view
lot of that,
waivers.
if we
Oh,
had a
as long as-
select board notification triggered under waivers, we could amend the policy just as fast. If it's got to be at a publicly known meeting. I mean, is there? I like to think I read this pretty thoroughly, but I can't remember. Is there like a definition of like a totally depreciated asset? Like if there's literally no better place for something than a junkyard or a landfill?
No, so we don't have that.
Well, isn't there something in here about $300 value?
Yeah, so Bobby added portable equipment with a cost new of $300 or more, such as a chainsaw generator, water pumps, or other miscellaneous tools.
Well, like if I get ahead of myself one night and lean too far backwards in this chair and break it, like you shouldn't have to.
I
There's
think
gotta
that
be
would be
defined.
garbage at that point.
Yeah.
It would
Well,
be
that's
a
it. Like, do you
destructive.
define that as like we gotta define.
I think that's kind of a
Like
judgment.
that cubicle that we're gonna be looking to dispose of at some point, if the plywood cubicle probably got a material value of over $300, but is that, like, there might not be a single nonprofit in the county that wants a plywood cubicle, you know what I mean?
Well, I wonder if, cause it sounds like what you're getting at, Brendan, is if we have a town, like a disposal asset policy, and the objective and is around selling the assets, are you saying we need something like, here's when we wouldn't sell the assets and would just
Yeah,
be done?
something that says, like, that clearly states you have the ability to throw something out or bring it to
Right,
the.
without having to
Well,
go
like,
through this.
if it's made of something that can be recycled, it should be recycled. Like, I think that should be in the policy. Like, if it's something that is metal, that should be brought to even not for the sake of metal, but for recycling.
I mean, I don't know if it's fixed. I mean, we had a debate over the title of the policy. We settled on disposal of town assets. Originally, it was disposal of surplus property. So surplus property is property that actually has value. A broken chair to me is just garbage. It's not an asset anymore.
Okay.
So I don't know if it's
maybe you define asset.
like that's the. Like, I don't think anyone's.
You just don't want to select
No,
a
I
member
get
in
it.
10 years saying like that chair was good or that.
No, I
computer
get it. I
would
mean,
have
it's like
been-
office supplies, right? Like, are we throwing out binders because everything's been digitized, or
Yeah,
there's still some
you just
value
don't
to it?
want- you want that to
get
be,
that.
especially when it's a new
Right.
policy. I think that's when it's really appropriate to think of the hypotheticals.
We certainly can add language to that.
I think it's a good policy.
Yeah, I think the big things, again, requiring those places, requiring pictures, because I think if there's a confusion between words and pictures, like, you can clearly see, when we only have words, people are going to bid more when they can actually see the asset.
Oh, absolutely.
I also have in here that all the information pictures shall be placed in the town clerk's office, so anybody can come down at any time and look at them in person if.
Is there anything in there that says, I know a lot of times when we warn equipment like fire and public works, is there language in here that says that you can that the bidder should have an opportunity to contact?
Usually that's in there. I didn't write a sample ad.
No,
Usually
but
that's
is
in
it
all
like,
our ads.
maybe it's policy that every ad includes an opportunity, like contact information, who to contact to set up an appointment to look at this in person. Just be,
I was curious if it should just be like a set time, but I don't think we get a ton of bids anyways on it, like, I think we did 3 or 4 maybe on a fire truck. I think we opened 4 up to 3 on the last, whatever.
I think disposal of town assets is a good policy name for this, though. You guys landed in a good spot.
We also don't allow, we prohibit the bartering or non-cash transaction other than vehicles or equipment trade-ins. So no trading a vehicle for engineering work, or no trading a piece of equipment for other work, or other equipment.
And that's gotta be plugged into the purchasing policy too for all.
Yeah, when we update that, but I think for this, the only time we're gonna do it is like for trading in a truck or trading in a piece of equipment, like obviously. But we have a procedure here too, on trade-ins that, via trade into a dealership, an accurate description of the asset, a dated written trade quote with an expiration date from prospective dealerships, must be presented to the town manager on dealership letterhead, so not like, a phone call between a dealer, like there's an actual documentation. The department head shall research and write a memo to the town manager explaining why the trade-in value being offered is fair for the town of St. Albans. So whether that's, supporting proof of why that's a good deal, because, a town manager might not know what an excavator's worth or what a,
It makes a lot of sense.
So that person, and all that should be, the offer memo and description of the surplus property shall be presented to the select board for their approval. So before we buy anything, it'll come to you. And then the town manager shall keep the records. I think it's just guardrails. I mean, policies are there to kind of set the expectations and keep everyone, protected, when there are, any confusion or anything in a process and stuff. I think to keep it agreed upon.
Quick question, under general policies, item 10, refer to the section 3 of the town code of ethics for further guidance.
What's the town code of ethics?
Yeah. I might have pulled that one up. I pulled it from a different town, but I think it's meant or
Okay.
I just have that.
Do we have one of those? 'Cause
I'm
so
trying to
I've
look.
not
I'm like,
read it.
where is that? Because I've
No.
never seen it.
It's been 5 years.
Yeah.
Probably should have read that one.
Yeah.
Maybe we should write one.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you want to?
Yeah.
Yeah.
We
Yeah.
do have some ethics in our personnel
have to
policy, and we
see.
have
Yeah.
some,
Oh,
you
okay,
know,
less than that.
conflict of interest
we-
stuff. so.
But basically it says the town shall not accept or solicit any rebates, gifts, or grant or gratuity from any person, company, or corporation that may bid or attempt to purchase property from the town of St. Albans. Similar to selling, us buying something from them, we also don't want there to be like, the kickback of,
Is the language around an insurance claim, the only exception to this policy is if the surplus property to be replaced is traded in as part of the acquisition of the new vehicle or equipment is disposed. So you're saying like, to put it in layman's terms, if we total a truck, we can waive the policy for the total truck. And
yeah,
we
because the
can-
total truck, you're just gonna get what the insurance company gives you.
Well, right, so you're not, yeah, okay.
So like that would be a
You can't sell it.
situation
Right.
where we're getting rid of an asset, but we're not gonna go out to bid. We're not likely, we're just, the LCT is gonna say,
Is there like a clearer way of spelling that out? Just because
yeah, I can look for, clarify that, but
it's not that it's not clear, but it's also not,
yeah, because an insurance claim, we could just put an example in the waiver section. An example, this could be
yes.
a total piece of, an insurance claim related,
It might be helpful to have a couple examples throughout the
because that's an area, where our hands just might be tied, because
Well, that's it. Like that makes a lot.
they're
of
gonna
sense.
total it. They're the ones who usually make the decision on whether something's totaled or
It's worth
not.
$12,500. Well, what do you do? Send them a letter back that says no, it's worth 13. Like we can't do that.
Right? You just
But
get what you get, and usually your insurance policy is gonna, they're gonna have a value on it anyway based on.
right.
I don't know,
Okay.
this is gonna be as fair as any of them.
Does anybody have anything else about this, or we'll come back with draft 2? And would it be possible to do draft 2 along with the edit
Yeah.
policy to Monday?
Yeah, I can make the edits tomorrow.
Okay. And we can get those knocked out. And perfect.
All right. Thank you guys for your time.
Thank
Thanks,
you.
Corey. Okay. So we had some ballots in the mail.
Right,
Mhm.
so the other thing under town manager was just a reminder that, town meeting days next week. We have our budget informational meeting on Monday, the 28th. And then in a regular, meeting to immediately follow. And Anna and
Yes.
Anna and the crew and a lot of town staff stuffed ballots for a few days. How many ballots, Anna?
I think it was like 4,872.
And we also.
But all of them are out, and we have close to 700 back.
Wow. And in a normal
Yeah.
town meeting day, we might have gotten 900 votes total counted.
Right.
So that's huge.
And we also included the police advisory committee survey.
Yeah.
That is included in your ballot. You can mail it in with your ballot, bring it to us at town meeting day. Corey and I will be there for much of the day.
And that survey was pretty closely modeled off of a federal survey. That wasn't something that we created from scratch.
Correct.
Yeah.
There's a Department of Justice Community Policing survey that is actually 30 questions long. We cut it down to the ones that we thought were most pertinent. It's the same questions as our last survey. We didn't really want to change up the
Right.
questions so that we can get a kind of
Mhm.
over time watching how the people change the answers. So far, we got a bunch back that I didn't look at them in any detail, but I think we're getting a definitely different demographic than we got online. Tends to be, people who might not be as comfortable on computers.
Yeah.
And so we have an intern with UVM helping us out on a few projects that's going to compile. I'm going to hand that over to them. They want to do some statistical analysis, so we're not going to be spending staff time and putting that into an Excel spreadsheet. We'll let the intern do it and come meet with the police advisory committee on the results.
Do you know, Corey or Anna, if there's about 700 ballots have been returned, about how many police surveys?
Oh, I didn't count them today.
Does it seem like almost every ballot is
No,
coming back
I'd
with
probably
it?
say we maybe have 70.
Okay.
I would say more.
Oh, yeah. She's seen more than
Only,
just got the ones that were
only, only because people, when they send their ballots in, that is separate. But we don't know how many ballots that have that included in a sealed ballot.
In the
Gotcha.
sealed
Yeah.
ballot.
Okay.
Mhm.
Could be a
Gotcha.
lot more
Correct.
than.
I was
Yeah.
wondering how they were.
And we
Could
only
be
had
either.
100 people take the online one that we had up for 2 months, so that.
Corey, check your mailbox.
Yeah, I did. I grabbed a bunch late this afternoon, so.
All right, perfect.
So,
Awesome.
yep,
Good.
that's next week.
So does anybody have anything they'd like to ask Carrie before we move on to schedule? Anything? Okay. All right, so schedule, agenda item 8, we have our next regular meetings Monday, March 7th and Monday, March 21st, both at 6:30 p.m. We have our required informational hearing, more or less, and then we're going to have an equity and inclusion discussion that's basically just going to be us running through a document generated by VLCT.
It's not VLCT's document.
Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, this is the, it's called we've talked about this one before, it's the Municipal Engagement for Diversity, Equity, Inclusion. It's got 12 items on it that, this came out of the local support, or the Economic Mitigation and Recovery Task Force that Governor Scott set up. So it came from the ACCD and this task force. It's one of the prongs of the work that they did. So it lists in an order from maybe recommended first steps to going in greater complexity. And we've got a spreadsheet where I've taken just verbatim from that document, cut it into a spreadsheet, and there's a column for us to kind of give it almost like a red light, green light situation, like, yep, we've already done this, it's in progress, we've identified it as something we want to work on, or we've got questions, or nope, that's not applicable. There's some school stuff in here that's probably not applicable to us, so we can just mark that off and a place for notes. So there's a lot of ground to cover, so I think the idea of that meeting is really just to take a fairly quick pulse of where we're at, and then it gives any future board an opportunity to see, like, okay, where do we want to focus our time, because I think there's a lot here, and you could chase your tail a lot doing a lot of things, or you could really zone in on where there's a greater need. So I think this process will help, and hopefully will be pretty straightforward just going through it. So
Perfect.
Is that something, Aaron, that we'll be able to see ahead of time, or will be public to see?
well,
ahead of time?
the municipal engagement tool is a public document that we can. I think that's been shared with this team before. I
Okay,
sent
it's-
Carrie. I sent
okay,
Carrie and
so-
Brendan that spreadsheet so they could share that with the board.
Awesome,
We're
thank you.
gonna get that out when
Yep.
we warn it'll be with the board packet for that meeting.
Perfect, thank you.
And thank you, Aaron, for providing it.
Yeah, thank you, Aaron.
Okay. So do we have anything else to add under schedule, other than the fact that town meeting day is Tuesday, March 1st. And if you wish to vote in person, Collins Pearly Sports Complex, polls open 7 a.m. and they close at 7 p.m. And if anybody has any questions about anything they see on their ballot, whether it's related to the budget and the Department of Public Works Equipment Replacement Fund, the capital plan, anything you see in your ballot that you'd like to discuss with town staff, please direct your questions to the town manager, and she'll put you in touch with the appropriate staff member, and we'll get you whatever answers you need so you can be as informed as possible when you make your vote.
We'll add one quick thing. Somebody asked me, a couple people today asked for electronic copies of our town report. We are getting that very soon, and we're going to put it on our website as soon as we get it.
I sent that already
To Jen?
to AJ and the county courier.
Okay, cool. So tomorrow morning we'll get it on our website if anyone asks. But
yeah,
we do
and then
have
we can post a link on Facebook and maybe Front Porch Forum.
we have paper copies of the town report, obviously, if anyone wants that.
It's nice and colorful this year.
It is. We
Yeah.
put our logo on the front.
Yeah.
But it's like a bunch of different.
All the different
Yeah,
seasons.
it's all the different logos we had done
Yep.
for all the different
Oh, cool.
occasions. There's even a Valentine's Day one.
Are they in the hallway, Anna? We could.
I think so.
I think they're in the
What's that?
hallway. You have copies of the town reports. Are they in the hallway?
I have 1,200.
No, I mean, but we were just gonna give them a copy of them.
Oh yeah, they're in the hallway.
Yeah, I thought so.
Yeah. So Jonathan and Brian I haven't had a chance to send out schedule date, but yeah, I need you to work from 3 to closing.
I think, I responded back to you. I just checked it's on my calendar too, so.
Thank you.
Okay, so Corey's gonna pass out some town reports.
Cool.
Um,
Nice.
Let me do that quickly. You have one?
Yeah, I got one.
There you go.
Thank you.
No, that's not. Sorry. Yes, there is one. There's a heart one.
And for all you animal lovers, turn to page.
3? No, it's not 3. That's our budget.
But
So
I love my
cool.
dogs.
Corey, the fireworks one looks like palm trees.
Thank you for that feedback.
Oh, I know.
We could all use some palm trees.
With snow coming again.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Palm
7
trees.
inches,
Maybe
or
that's
what are
just
we
what
looking
you're
at here?
saying.
Mhm.
Palm trees.
So the only thing I have under my report is more or less kind of mapping out what my intent is for reopening meetings to the public. I'd like to, assuming that case counts remain stable, start to reopen things for March 7th. And masks required. I wouldn't intend to ask for proof of vaccination for admittance. And if there's any way that any of the material for the town hall can be either put in a different room or up against the wall to give people room to breathe, that would be great. But anybody having any suggestions, or are we good with that plan? Assuming, obviously if there's another variant that comes between now and then that starts driving up, hospitalizations, we probably push that off.
I think, we'll be bobbing and weaving in our response for a while, potentially. But I think, knowing that we had members of the public come to the meeting last time and there was issues with audio for them.
Yeah.
I think the speakers that we've got going this time are better for people that want to hear what's happening from Zoom. But as far as us or the board, it's a little bit harder, I think, for people to hear, and if they don't have a mouth to kind of read along with it, it might be harder for them. So I think if you're going to have the public, just thinking how to make it so that all members of the public can hear well would be the consideration.
Okay.
Yep.
We'll have to rack our brain on that one and figure out the best way to do it. We just discussed the new town hall, actually. The Port Washington room will have speakers in the back that'll be picked up. That'll pick up what goes into these microphones and will amplify throughout the room, so everyone in the space will be able to hear us a little bit better. Okay, so if we're good with that, that's all I have. Does anybody have anything under other business?
I do. I'd like to thank Jessica and Aaron for serving.
Absolutely.
Oh, thanks, Anna.
Yeah, thanks.
So, yeah, it's a little bit of a tradition that when we know someone's imparting and it's not as a result of not winning an election, and there's, a hard date, that we usually have a cake and, have a decent little send-off, and that can be expected. So if there's anyone on staff that would like to attend that, we can definitely open the meeting at 6:30 and recess for a little bit to cupcake and get that distributed. But that's gonna happen.
Oh.
No way of hiding that from you, and also being transparent with the public. But, we're also when we have a volunteer dinner, whenever that happens, we usually have it up at the Legion. You'll definitely both be invited, and probably get a pretty solid shout out and a round of applause. Again, full transparency, right? So, please do come with Joe, your children, and Paul. We would really appreciate it. And again, like Anna said, I'm gonna save my remarks until our next meeting, so I have better time to prepare them. But I'm gonna echo what Anna just said. You both have done a lot of great work for the town and deserve recognition for sure. So, any other business? Okay. Okay, so we need to, we had an executive session for the town hall tour, and then we had some other matters to discuss back at the old town hall that we're in now. We had a couple of things left on the list that we need to get back to, so contractual, and then maybe one personnel. So we just need a motion, the tongue twister motion, to go into executive session. If someone would make it.
I'll make a motion to go into executive session to discuss legal, contractual, or personnel issues where premature general public knowledge of the subject matter would place the town or person involved at a substantial disadvantage. Further move to make a motion to enter into executive session to discuss legal, contractual, or personnel issues under the provisions of Title I, Section 313A1 of Vermont statutes, and to invite the town manager
And Director of Operations.
and the director of operations.
I don't want him there.
No.
Oh wait, no, I think about it.
No, you have to stay now.
You
Okay,
can't-
so do we have a
yeah.
second?
Second.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Thank you.